All right, Aaron here again from kaiserediting.com. And last week's video, or 2 weeks ago, I did a video that was one of my most popular ever, with over 20 views. And I listened to a Nirvana album for the first time, and I'm going to be doing the same thing again. I'm listening to Nirvana's first album, Bleach. By request, I'm recording this again. And we'll see how it goes. I'll just go ahead and play the album and make sure to smash that like button. All right, so right from the get-go, this is a little bit more of my speed. I like that chunky bass. This is a little more conventionally alternative, I guess. You could say that. Has more of that metal influence. My last video, there was a song, I forget which song it was, but there was one song that I said I liked it, partly because Kurt Cobain didn't sound like he usually does. And I don't know if it sounded like this, but I like the way he's singing here a lot better than how he sings on most of Nevermind. Maybe this isn't revolutionary in the same way as Nevermind, but definitely more to my taste. The big dum 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 build up. I miss when that was popular. When that was on every song, every alternative song. You don't hear it so much anymore. I love playing it when I get to on a song. Hearing a lot more of like the Soundgarden grungy sound, which makes a lot of sense. Everything I've read or heard about
Do you live,
the
travel,
grunge
shop,
movement.
or
Oh,
work
there's
in the
that.
US?
Great.
With the CIBC
The story of grunge in Seattle is basically all goes back to Soundgarden, especially forgot the lead singer's name. But he's such an influence, and this album is sounding way more Soundgarden. And I like Soundgarden a lot more than I like Nirvana, so it makes a lot of sense. This is a little more along the lines of what I kind of expected coming into the Bleach, where it's like really discordant, doesn't really, that melody isn't particularly much of anything. It feels very like discordant again. Yeah, well, that screaming. There's a lot of there's a lot of like screaming and just I don't know, noise. Although I do like the solo, but up to here, don't really like the riff on the song. Right, you should play that guitar. It's just that bass and the drums, a little ending. But it just sort of reveals sort of the lack of much of anything I find in that song. And now we've got About a Girl, which, classic, although much more familiar with the acoustic version from Unplugged. But, as Nirvana songs go, this one's fine. Probably one of the better ones, actually. I think I like this better than the acoustic version. His vocals on this version are a little bit more plaintive and whining, which I think works for the song. I like that cymbal, really forward. I don't know if it's faster than the acoustic version, but I like it. The thing about Nirvana, I think I talked about this in my last video, and everybody talks about this with Nevermind, as they blended discord and like grungy heavy sound with perfect melody. I don't agree that it's perfect melody on Nevermind, but this is the song I think encapsulates that sound, I think, in the best possible way, where it is a little bit discordant, heavy in weird places, and the grating vocals, but the solo, the riff on here, it all comes together really well. Yeah, I like this better than acoustic. I like for this song I like to have more discord, and the electric guitar adds a lot on this one, and again, that cymbal, so crisp, it's really, really good sound. Hey, more of that. Dum 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 dum. If that was my introduction to Nirvana rather than Smells Like Teen Spirit, I'd have a much better first impression of them. Got another commercial. I didn't get so many commercials last time. I wonder why that is. So I thought this was going to be a shorter album, but it looks like it's about 45 minutes. Now we've got School. You've seen me praise Supertramp's School on my website, but obviously this is not the same song. I like that riff, and then he starts singing, and it drags it down. And you can see right there, now he's singing better. Like, That's he's yeah. I don't know. I don't like it when he's doing the mumbling thing and the disaffected Gen X thing, but when he's really belting, he's good. He's doing both of his songs. This is like sing more like that. But again, that's him. I think biting this Chris Cornell sound a little bit when he's singing like that. And obviously with Supertramp being the not Supertramp, Soundgarden being the big band out of Seattle. Before them, it's no wonder they moved in a different direction with Nevermind. They more established their own place, which obviously worked out very well. Very well. Here's a lot in like late 80s, early 90s song. The pre-grunge era, obviously this is Nirvana, so it's hard to say it's the pre-grunge. But where the guitar cuts out and you get this low bass and busy drums, like super low busy bass and then drums. And I love that. I love this thing. I love there's this really nice sweet spot, 89 to 91, where you get this kind of moving away from the metal, moving away from the glam rock and the synth pop, sort of this back to basics thing, and sort of almost like a bluesy, like retro bluesy sound. And there are certain things like that that bridge there happen. And I don't know if there's really a name for that era of rock music, but there's some really good stuff in there. Now we've got Love Buzz. And almost like a hair metal thing going on here with that solo. It's a little bit like reminds me a little bit of like Boys Are Back in Town there with this riff. Well, not this riff, but like the strumming before. Yeah, there it is. Can't be Kurt Cobain singing. Maybe. Again, very different sound coming out of them, if that is Kurt. But I really like this one. This one's really cool. This is also a little bit, I don't know, like the Primus sort of thing. A lot of noodling and low bass. Sort of, I guess the bass isn't as forward as it would be in a Primus song. It's not as weird, but it does have something of that. I mean, I don't know much Primus, but again, it's something that in this late 80s, early 90s sound, there are all kinds of different stuff that's happening. It's very exciting. And then you get the grunge, but really the post-grunge is it's much more than just Nirvana. Even with the vocals, I don't think I would recognize this as Nirvana if I didn't know. It's definitely my favorite one so far. Maybe that scream gives it away. There it is, yeah. Cut out that guitar, that bass. Solo stuff, yeah, I love this kind of bridge. that. I like that one a lot. That's really good. Next one's going to be called Paper Cuts after we get through this ad. Go. Yeah, really Soundgarden-y here. Early Soundgarden. So they're just trying a bunch of different things on this album, weren't they? I guess what they stuck with was the sort of the about a girl formula, I guess. Even when there are songs on here I don't like, I don't feel like I have to performatively dislike it the way I do Nevermind. You know, it's a different kind of dislike I have for it. Like, this is just, right, but wow, the album is like, yeah. You know, those low chunky riffs, you know, I don't like that so much. But I don't like certain kinds of metal. But, you know, like, it's an experimental sort of thing. You know, I like that they're going in a lot of different directions with this album. I feel like I'm finally really understanding Nirvana at this point. Because you always hear about how Kurt Cobain didn't like how poppy and obviously successful, how poppy and you know, didn't necessarily love the sound of Nevermind. And to me, that was always, you know, that's Nirvana. It's Nevermind. But hearing this Bleach for the first time, I mean, it's so different. This is Negative Creep, so different, so much heavier, so much less of that pop melody sensibility. And so, yeah, so it makes a ton of sense to me how you go back to this kind of thing with a vengeance after Nevermind on In Utero, which I don't like. You know, this is way better than that. But you know, he's has the freedom here before they're big to do so many different things. This heavy stuff with like practically metal here. Um, you know, it's just screaming his head off like this. So the way he doesn't do so much on Nevermind. So yeah, that just that, you know, that Kurt Cobain's famous, I don't know, his dissatisfaction or resistance to Nevermind makes so much more sense when I'm hearing what he was doing before Nevermind. And this is way better. Like, even when I don't like a song on here, like I don't particularly like this, more interesting. And I can see myself getting into it in a way I like, you know, Smells Like Teen Spirit or Polly would never do anything for me. And then he gets into a groove here. It's pretty cool. And I bet this stuff would have been way more fun live than almost anything from Nevermind. It's like a whole different band. It's called Scoff. It's kind of like a new wavy sort of thing. So, I mean, it sounds like pump it up a little bit there. That's really good. So I like this structure better, right? It's got this chunky metal-y thing, but then it builds into that really, you know, melodic chorus, really nice sounding chorus. You know, I like when the song has that kind of payoff. You know, when it's just this sort of thing and doesn't go anywhere, I'm a lot less satisfied with the song. Gets, you know, the riff picks up, gets a little more dynamic. The vocals are a little, more, you know, there's more of a melody happening. It's punctuated by those nice drum rolls. can always tell when I'm into a song if I start air drumming. I think in my comments on Nevermind, I said I didn't like so much of the quiet loud dynamic, but it's more that I feel like on Nevermind you have the pleasant is undercutting the heavy, and the discord is undercutting the melodies, and so everything is working against each other. Here, they're feeding into each other. It drops the discord to some extent. And every time his vocal shifts, right? And a lot of the verses, he's doing the screaming and whining, or whatever you want to call what he's doing. But on the choruses, he's just singing, and it's much better. I mean, then he goes to the screams, but I feel like it's just feeding off each other a lot better on this album. Probably because it is much more sided on the heavy and the discord and the wild, rather than trying to shoehorn in these more pop melodies. I don't think it helps them when they try to do that in Nevermind. This one's swap meets. There's some great riffs on here. The exception that proves the rule. He's doing that hitch thing at the end there. Works on this song. I mean, the riff underneath and those really sharp sharp cymbals help a lot on that chorus. It's kind of a drag of a solo. That's fine. Alright, we got Mr. Mustache. reminds me a lot, not musically, but I didn't. Cow, I'm not proud. This reminds me of Spawn Again by Silverchair, which I also don't like, but kind of angrily pro-vegetarian, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't really make for an interesting song subject matter, I guess. It's got this riff kind of moves here, but it's another one that doesn't really go anywhere. Maybe my least favorite one so far. Always a fun way to end the song, slowing down the tempo. Next we have Sifting. This one's over 5 minutes, which back in the day whenever I pop in a new CD and I see a track that's over 5 minutes, I get very excited. It's over 7 or 8 minutes. Amazing. Whether it's because it's something that's got multiple sections or because it's got a big long solo, either way I'm happy when a song's long like this. Overall on this album, I like what the drums are doing. There's a lot more, they're doing a lot more work for these songs. Throughout this album, Cobain's taking those raspy vocals that he's using them, percussively. He's repeating the same lines and giving some bounce to the song. And I think he's using his voice so much better on this album. There's this weird sort of like ooh sound I was hearing. I wasn't sure if it was from the song or somewhere around me, but it's the song. I like that. Like it's like a ghosty kind of sound. Yeah, I'm really digging this one. Yeah, this drum's really doing a lot of work on this album. Okay, this one's called Big Cheese. This is probably more or less the last song because I see the last one downer is only a minute 45. We'll see what that's about. So I was gonna say he's doing different stuff with his voice again. He's just yeah, now he's got more of this sort of punk, California punk thing going on. Yeah, he's really playing around with different vocal styles. I don't like the one he stuck with on Nevermind. This song's kind of a mess, but it sort of whips itself into shape on this riff. And I kind of like how it sort of, I don't know, crystallizes, comes to a focus on this riff. I don't know if you call it chorus or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I don't love this one, but it does work for me a little bit better when it comes to that section. I think one thing I can really take away from hearing this album is I can see why, you know, you're definitely setting the stage for something big because there's so much, you know, I don't know, there's so many different influences you can sort of hear subtly in here. And it's so different from metal, from, you know, the metal of the 80s. It's different from the punk, and it's different from, you know, obviously the new wave and the synth rock, synth pop and all that stuff. You know, and it's funny because this album sounds more like the kinds of stuff that came out after Nevermind that maybe Nevermind itself.
Discover local produce.
All right, now we've got Downer. Oh, is this going to be an instrumental? I hope so. You know, when you hear that bass, no. This is another thing you heard a lot in this era, 80s, 91. A lot of like talking over the music rather than singing. Sort of talking thing. Very Gen X-y to me, right? It's complaining about everything and, you know, existence is terrible and I'm really superior because I'm identifying it. It's a little Gen X thing that really sticks with me from when I was a kid. A lot of music, a lot of lyrics from this early 90s era, especially the early 90s era, is doing that. I like this one. I like that. It's faster than a lot of stuff on the album. All right, so all in all, I like that way more than Nevermind. It's like as said at the beginning, it sounds like a totally different band most of the way through. You know, About a Girl is sort of the blueprint for Nevermind, and the rest of the album doesn't sound like About a Girl. It doesn't have those sing-along choruses. Although it's not really a sing-along chorus either, but it's closer. But all in all, I like that way more. Again, if this was the Nirvana album that broke through and not Nevermind, I probably have a much better opinion of them. Because I like that. I could see myself even listening to this album again. So you're listening to Nevermind did not really change my opinion on Nirvana, but Bleach, something else. I has changed my opinion a little bit more. You know, I think, you know, 3 real albums they released. You know, this one's clearly for me way better and something I would want to listen to again, and not the other two. So thanks for bearing with me and hearing me react to Nirvana, the album people are probably least familiar with. And at least for me, pretty good. Quite enjoyed it, at least parts of it. So thanks for watching with me, and maybe I'll do this again.